Node 3, March 3rd, 2022, and this is with regards to warbling. This is just a handy visual aid that I sketched out to help to understand it. So the idea with warbling is that you can change the past by changing the present and the future. The idea being that for each assuming that the person attempting this is the warbler and that they are observed making a particular quantum choice. Each time they're observed making a particular type of choice, the warbler and that observer is entangled. So along the way, though, that entanglement can get broken by the introduction of an additional observer who managed to observe a different quantum choice. The idea is that if you picked a particular goal, say that was, we just imagine it as 4 steps, or 3 steps ahead, rather. So you start with Warbler 1 and you end with Warbler 4. So Warbler 1, I'm going to start with my own example. Starts off as someone who is morbidly obese, is at a very bad point in their life, and they decide that they're going to attempt to change the future and the present by changing the past. And so along the way, you have to make significant choices. Each of us makes particular choices in our daily life that will have profound impacts. Not all are necessarily quantum events that could create a new or different node of time. The idea being that time does not travel linearly forward and backwards. It's a convenient illusion so that we can get through the day, but in reality, time operates a lot more like a fireworks display where you've got one central explosion that goes out and then others and then others, and each of these clouds of explosive possibilities are just as real as the other until they are locked in or unlocked by entanglement one way or the other. So, starting with Warbler 1, if you make positive choices towards your goal, eventually getting to the point where, say, you're healthier than before, you're at a healthier state, you're losing weight, say, and your mental attitude's getting better, and so on and so forth, and this is now observed, you're now entangled with the second observer, disentangled with the first observer, but you can still slide backwards. So if you went back to making, the poor quantum choices again, especially if observer 1 was still around, you could be re-entangled to that particular node, that, downward spiral node. Instead, if you continue to make positive choices going out, eventually you get observed again, entangling you to an entirely new, not timeline, but time node, disentangling you from the prior one, and then now setting in motion a new set of quantum choices. Now, that seems to only work in a forward motion only because we don't necessarily think of time, particles of energy or matter going in multiple directions throughout time, but in point of fact, anything that's going forward in time is sending equal and opposite force backwards in time. Since time is not linear, though, it operates much more holographically, it's fair to say that temporally, any effort that you expend, energy or mass, is going to expand temporally in every direction at once, sort of like a sphere, or whatever the Euclidean equivalent would be. So that is warbling in a nutshell, where you could go from a state where you're, bedridden, obese, hardly able to, even stay an hour out of bed, that isn't spent in the bathroom, and then eventually working your way up to the point where you're in prime physical condition and have no signs of MS whatsoever. So, you know, so far, over the course of a year and a half, it seems to have worked. Crazy or not, the results kind of speak for themselves. If it sounds a whole lot like, you know, practice, or just changing your life habits and, you know, sticking to them, well, yes, that absolutely goes hand in hand with it. You can't really have one without the other, but the explanation as to why it works faster in some people than others can be observed through quantum choice over and over. Because if you have as much energy working in one direction of positive choices over and over and over again, you're going to have that much more energy sent in the equal and opposite direction, getting you where you're going. This is Brandon Safford, Node 3. I hope that you have a wonderful day and best of luck. Over and out.